Hello, children. Welcome to today's lesson via YouTube video. Hopefully yesterday went well and you did well on your STAR test. Remember, guys, I look at that as one of the last placements for you in high school. Hopefully you guys got finished. If not, you will be able to finish your STAR test when I come back tomorrow. So it should be Tuesday, even though it's Sunday night when I'm recording this. And chapter 8, we are starting on volume. This is going to be a very short chapter. We're finding volume of cylinders first, and then we're finding volume of spheres and volume of cones. And then we're going to do something called composite solids, and then we're working on similar shapes and that kind of thing. So it'll be a fast chapter. So when you find the volume, you're actually finding the volume of a solid, something that's solid. And pardon me, volume is a lot like area in the sense that area is good for finding how much stuff is inside a two-dimension object. So that's why we have units squared, and that's why I've been really hounding your labels on your warm-ups lately. It's like you can't find the area without having a proper label, and my gosh, it makes such a difference. This chapter is where it's going to be difference between right and wrong. So you've got to make sure every single problem has a label. So when you're done with your problem, answer circled, double check to make sure that you have your label. So area is how much stuff is inside what we call a plane figure, 2 dimensions. That's why it's unit squared. Volume is how much is inside a 3-dimension object, and that's why we have units cubed. And so first up, we're going to be doing volume of cylinders. So hopefully by now you've thought of a cylinder, soup can, I already got some out, a coffee mug, but without the handle, so Mr. Jack here, that would be a good example of a cylinder. That's a great example, actually. Okay, something like, your water bottles, okay, if I just took the top off here. So this would be in a cylinder shape. And even something as small as your coins. So this is a nickel right here. And this might be really hard for some of you guys to see because if it's a 3-dimensional object, it has to have dimensions. All these things I showed you, the water bottle and the coffee mug, it has a height. And you can put stuff in it. Well, you may look at this nickel and go, no, but yes. It's just a really, really, really short cylinder because look, if I flip it this way, you'll then see your height of the cylinder is super, super tiny. It's right here. And so you would actually be able to, let's say, this had a top, you'd be able to actually fill this with maybe 3 drops of water, but you could technically fill this. So even your coins are cylinders. There's just not much height to them. Just like this penny is a cylinder. But look at the difference in the heights. So this guy's going to have less volume than this. And the reason why I'm talking about that is because your volume formula stems from your area formula on cylinders. So first up, 8.1, volume of cylinders. Here you go. So now you're going to start taking these notes. Whatever I write down here, you write down on your composition books. But the great thing about these YouTube videos, no, I'm not there, but you can just hit that pause button, which is very, very nice. So 8.1, volume of cylinders. Let's start that first. So to draw a cylinder, I draw a squished circle, and then I kind of follow it down to make sides, even though they're not technically sides. But remember, we're trying to draw it. Curved bottom, and then I draw a dotted line in the back. This dotted line, that's like the 3-dimension part. That's the part you can't see. So if I'm holding this up, it's like this back of the can back here. So you can kind of see what I'm talking about. And then what you always need to have is your center drawn. So you can put a dot in the top. And then your radius. So radius is halfway across the top is. So if I actually had to measure this, the radius would be the center point. Let's go that way. Center point, so the radius is the dimension, the length, halfway across. All the way across would be the diameter. radius. And so if I were to, I wish I had a different pen. So all the way across is the diameter. I don't know if you could see that arrow very good. I'll make sure we clear it up on Wednesday when I come back. So radius is halfway, diameters is all the way. And sometimes they give you one and you have to find the other. So like sometimes they try to be sneaky and give you the diameter and you have to find the radius. All you have to do is take whatever this number is and cut it in half. And you'll see me do that today. But then also a cylinder has a height. You know, and that's this guy. That's the height of the cylinder. So the height of my soup can is from top to bottom. Okay. Now the formula, in order to calculate how much stuff I can fit in this, is going to be based on how far it is across and the height of it. So your formula for the volume of a cylinder is volume equals base times height. But don't leave it just like that yet, because for me, I've always made it easier. Well, the base is made up of a bunch of circles, and specifically the area of circles. And so the area of a circle is pi r squared. So instead of doing B times H, I just go volume equals pi r squared H. So that way I don't have to figure out, wait a minute, what's base again? What do I use for base again? So I just take that whole part out. You might see this listed on tests. I think our textbook actually uses volume equals base times height. But our base is the area of a circle. And then imagine, actually, I wish I had like 20 of these nickels. So it's the area of a circle, meaning how much on a 2-dimension, okay? But then I'm going to stack a bunch. So that's why you have your height, which is your H. Here we go. So now we're going to do some problems. This is going to go fast because finding volume was really straightforward because I let you guys use your calculators because we have to use pi. And I do not ever want you cutting pi off as 3.14 because pi is not that. Pi is an irrational number, which you'll find out exactly what that means later, that goes on and on and on and does not stop. 3.14 is not exact, and so that's why you get to use your calculators. Mine is pink. Yours are going to be blue. I'm going to have the sub put them out on the desk, so if not, hopefully she'll just pass them out. I don't know, but they should be on your desk. Here we go. So example 1 is find the volume of a cylinder. Find volume. And every single problem will tell you what you're going to round to. So this one's going to be round to the nearest tenth. Round to nearest tenth. So remember, what I write down, you guys write down. Find the volume, round to the nearest tenth. These are your directions. And guys, I'm just following 8.1 in the textbook, so you can follow along with me as well when you're taking notes. Remember, you can always hit pause, that kind of thing. So we always draw some cylinders. So squishy circle up top, sides, rounded bottom. Kind of looks like a toilet paper roll. Okay, so our dimensions here, it's going to be 6 meters tall, and our radius is 3 meters. Now, I don't ever want to squish that, and so I'm going to write some of these dimensions outside my shape. Remember, these are finding the volume of a solid, okay? Because it's a solid object, because it's 3 dimensions. And so I do not want to squish it, so I'm going to write outside, but an arrow pointing in so you know exactly what I'm talking about. So 6 meters high, that's like 18 feet. That's almost twice the height of our classroom. And halfway across is 3 meters, so that's like 9 feet. So all the way across is like, oh my gosh, it's like 18 feet. That's a really big soup can. It's a lot of chili. Okay, so we're going to figure out how much stuff we can fit in there. So the first thing we're going to do, and the great thing about this chapter, here's what I love about this chapter. It's repetition, repetition, repetition. You are going to do the same exact thing for every single problem we do in this chapter. You're going to start by writing your formula. Big surprise, huh? So volume equals pi r squared h. Write that. And the next step is exactly the same in it's all 3 sections. all three sections. So you're going to write in what they give you. We're finding the volume, so we're going to leave that as V equals pi. Well, pi is already a number, so we're going to keep that as 3.14. Haha, not. We're going to keep it as pi. Pi. Now, r squared, our radius is 3. So watch how I do this. I put 3 and I put a square inside the parentheses. When you square something, remember you're just multiplying it by itself. And then you're going to multiply it by height, which is 6. So the first step is always write your formula. The second step is always plug in what you know. Third step, you're going to square whatever number you have to square. So volume equals pi times 9 times 6. And from here, we're going to switch to our calculator. Yes, I want you using calculators. So on here, we're going to multiply pi times 9 times 6. By the way, how do you turn this thing on? Well, there's an on button at the bottom. On. How do you turn it off? You don't just off. No. It actually has an off button. See the second button right here? That means the second function, which means it's all the functions that are listed on top of keys. So all that super small print. So if you hit, it's on now because it's got this, can you see that? The blinking, right? That's on. To turn it off, notice it's right above on. So you're going to hit second, on. And now my calculator, I'm getting some weird, oh, there it is. Now my calculator's off. So make sure you do that every day before you leave. So here we go, we're going to turn it on. So we're multiplying pi times 9 times 6. So we're going to do just that. Find the pi key. It's somewhere on your calculator on the left-hand side. It's right here. Okay. So you're going to hit pi times 9 times 6. There we go. Ooh, can you see that? There we go. Pi times 9 times 6 equals. By the way, equals is your at the bottom. So you write that number. And the directions say round to the nearest tenth. So at this point, back to your notes, you're going to write volume is approximately. You must now switch to this approximate sign. You cannot write equals. That is not correct. And yes, this is one thing I'm very, very, very picky on. Labels and switching to approximate. Because you're cutting it off. You're not saying this is an exact number. So I have 169.64. Watch what I do. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. And I want you to say blah, blah, blah. Kind of like the guys from Hotel Transylvania. That it is. Like the vampire. Blah, blah, blah. Okay? But that's your 3 dots. That means these 3 little dots, so small, so important. It tells you that this number goes on. So yes, you're going to have to go volume, squiggle, squiggle, 169.64, blah, blah, blah. And yes, I will make sure you do that. And so we want to the nearest tenth. Well, the 6th is in the 10th, and so that's why I wrote 1 more digit. And since this digit right here is below 5, that means 6 is going to stay the same. So those of you guys who've been having a hard time with rounding, this whole chapter is going to be a great review on rounding. But I can also round during 6th period too if you need it. So volume is approximately 169.6. Here comes your label. Meters cubed. You have to have this all. You got to have the approximate sign. You got to have the proper tenth, and you have to have the proper label. So if you want somewhere on your notes, units with a cube, put that somewhere up there, and that is a blue bubble. This is also a blue bubble. I forgot about that. Sorry. Okay. So all volumes is going to be something to the 3rd power. If they don't give you a unit of measurement, that's when you use the word units. But here they gave us meters. So you're going to put meters cubed. Cubed because it's 3 dimensions. That's it. It's very, very straightforward. I can find my rad. So let's do another one. Hopefully you guys have been having a good day. Hopefully you guys had a good weekend. I did. I had a lot of fun in Reno. I got my wedding makeup done, which is very cool. Probably not very important to a lot of you guys, but it was really important to me, so that was good. Okay. So now, example 2. I have to erase all of this part. Example 2. Now what they're going to do, they're going to switch it up. They're now, no, wait. Let's do another example 1 first, just to make sure you guys got it. Okay? So I'm going to do OYO number 1 at the bottom. So on your own number 1. It's at the bottom of the, you remember where they are. It's at the bottom. It's red print. It says, oh, on your own. So number 1. So it says find the volume, round your answer to the nearest tenth. So find V, hi kitty, round to tenth. My cat's making a lot of noise at my legs. Oh, yo, on yo own. Number 1, find volume, round to the nearest tenth. I cut some of those words out just because I have a thick pen. I didn't want to mess with those dry erase pens again. And it's a small board. Sorry. Okay, so sometimes what they're going to do is they're going to take this cylinder and they're going to knock it down. And then you're going to draw it this way. That's okay. Remember, this right here is still the height, and the radius is just right here, where my middle finger is right here. That's it. Your height is no longer here. So it's like they took the can and dumped it over. So here we go. Sideways cylinder. So this one, you know, it's like, I don't know. You're just going to try your best. Okay? I draw my flat circle and kind of draw lines down to make kind of a side, even though that's not a side because it's circular. Rounded bottom, 3-dimension in the back. Ooh, look what they did, though. When they draw the line all the way across, that means they gave you the diameter. So that diameter is 8 feet. And it's getting super squishy. Sorry. 8 feet is pointing to the whole thing. Line all the way across. And your height is 15 feet. So we have to find the volume. So the first thing you're going to do, the very first thing, before you even write your formula, since they gave you the diameter and our formula says we have to have a radius, what I want you to do is find the radius first. So take 8, cut it in half, and cross that off. So half of 8 is 4 feet. So I crossed off the 8 and I put 4. So now I don't even have to worry about, oh, did I take half of that? Did I not? Dang it, I forgot. Okay. You might hear buzzing in the back because my dinner's almost done, but oh well. Here we go. So now I have my radius. Don't worry about the fact that it still shows the line all the way drawn. Just know that, hey, here's my radius. So we write our formula. Volume equals pi r squared h. Tomorrow's formula is almost like this. Almost like this. The second step is still exactly the same. You're going to plug in the numbers that you know. We are finding volume. We know pi. Our radius is now 4. So we have 4 squared. And our height is 15. 15. So sometimes I use dots showing all that. Sometimes I put it all in parentheses. It doesn't matter. It's all being multiplied. So if you see me put like a dot right here, same thing. It's still being multiplied. Sometimes I won't. I just kind of switch it up so you guys get comfortable seeing all things. Okay, third step, square this. So volume equals pi times 4 is 16. And now we're going to multiply it times 15. Calculator. So now go pi times 16 times 15. There you go. Pi times 16 times 15. Hit enter. That's a really big number. 753, blah, blah, blah. But we want to the nearest tenth. So now is where we go. Pi is approximate to, approximate. You have to switch that. 753.98, blah, blah, blah. Yes, you have to do the blah, blah, blahs. Yes. That guy is in the 10th spot. So you're going to look at the one next to it to tell you if you round up or it stays the same. Since 8 is greater than 5, that's going to push 9 up. Well, that's going to push 9 up to a 0, which means this one is also going to go up. Think about this as like $753.98. Is that closer to $753? Or is it closer to $754? So that could possibly, help you figure out why both numbers change. And there you have it. Volume is approximately, don't forget this squiggle, 754.0 feet cubed. You could even just put 754. I really don't care. But as long as you make sure you know this 9 goes to 0, and then it also pushes up this 3. So think about money when it's to the nearest 10th. Think about money. Da-da-da. Now we're going to do a number. Example 2. This one's a little bit different because we're not finding volume, because the volume now is going to be given to us. So it's going to be find the height. Round to the nearest whole number. They will always tell you what to round to. Make sure you pay attention to what you're rounding to. Find height, round to the nearest whole. So since we have to find this h, we already know what pi is, that means they have to give us the volume and the radius, because this is the one we're finding. So think of it this way. They have to give you two numbers, whether it's the radius, the height, or the volume. If you have 2 given, you can find the other one. It's going to be back to balancing equations. Okay, here we go. We're going to do like a tuna can. So super wide, short, sides, because cylinders don't have sides. Dot, 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 dot. I made mine wider just because I got really squishy last problem. And then this is 5 inches. And height is unknown because it says we're going to find the height. So, of course, they're going to give us this h. It's getting darker out. That's why I'm getting all these shadows in here. And then the volume is equal to 314 inches cubed. Same exact steps. Number 1, write your formula. Volume equals pi r squared h. Step 2 is exactly the same. Write in the numbers that they have, but be careful. Remember, they gave us the volume, but not the height. So here we go. So V is right here. 314 equals pi. We know what pi is, but we're still going to use the symbol because we're using it on the calculator. Pi times our radius, which is 5. Double check they didn't go all the way around. No, they didn't. So definitely that is the radius. Squared. H is what we're finding. So this is actually a balancing problem. So circle H. And step 3 is still exactly the same. You're still going to square the radius. Here we go. So we have 314 equals pi times 5 times 5. Because remember, 5 squared is just 5 times itself. Or 5 is being multiplied 2 times, which is still 5 times 5. 25h. Here comes the fun part. It's actually a choice. Since you're solving for h, it's a big balancing problem. Do not let the fact that pi is in there throw you off. No, 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 no. You now have to solve for h, which means you have 2 best friends that you have to send home. How did I know they're best friends? Because they're right next to you. Remember, best friends are being multiplied with the variable. Since you have 2 best friends, you could send them home one at a time. But that's not nice because your best friends, you're all best friends and they want to go home together. So the easiest way to do this is send both best friends home at the same time. And yes, I'm going to show you how to do this on calculator. So divide both sides by pi times 25. Okay, now, pi divided by pi is 1. 25 divided by 25 is 1. So we have h equals, and I'm gonna, this is what was given right here. I'm just gonna erase this because it's a little too close. So, inches cubed, there. So now we have to do this. But here's the thing, you've got to answer this properly in the calculator. So, 314 divided by, there it is. If you just go pi times 25, the calculator, hang on. Nope, cancel. Hang on, children. If I push stop, then I would have, my video would have stopped. I'm back. So, if you go 314 divided by pi times 25, your calculator doesn't understand operation. Oh my gosh, sorry, order of operations. And so it's really important that you enter this correctly. So here's how you're going to do this. You go 314 divided by. You're going to make this a big old quantity. Pi times 25. So it's 314 divided by, go left parenthesis, pi times 25. Right parenthesis. Just like that. You have to make this a quantity. So that way the calculator knows, hey, it's 314 divided by the result of pi times 25. And then hit enter. Now, if you enter this correctly, you should get approximately, I have to switch that to approximately, 3.99 blah, blah, blah. If you did not get that, you didn't enter it correctly. So again, here's what it looks like. I cleared it out. It looks just like this. 314 divided by left parenthesis pi times 25 right parenthesis. Then hit enter. Looks just like that. 3.99. Round to the nearest whole number. So the whole number, think about this as your dollar. So rounding that guy. So is $3.99 closer to $3 or closer to $4? Hopefully you guys answered that. So height is approximately 4. Ooh, our label. If all of this stuff is inches cubed, that's how much stuff we can fit in it. Our label is only just inches because we're only finding like a 2-dimension figure, if that makes sense. So when you have to find the missing height, it is only units. It is not squared, it is not cubed. So be careful on that. And that's how you find the missing height. Here, you divide both best friends. And over here, it's really important that you make sure you put parentheses around pi times whatever the radius is squared. That's all for today. A double check. Yeah, because we do the missing salsa later. Yes, children? That is all. Wow, I thought I had another problem. Okay, long video, I know, but remember, this is like me being in class. Also, tomorrow is so much like this. So if you didn't understand today, hang in there. I'll do the problems. No, you cannot take my calculators home. Keep your calculators at home so it doesn't get mixed up with mine in class. And also, if you do not have a calculator at home, you can use your iPads, but you cannot use them in class because I have a class set of calculators. Sound good? Hopefully. All right, children. First day of volume. Cylinders. Soup cans. Coffee mugs. Jack Skellington. It's really cool inside, too. It's got all these little faces. Anyways, water bottles without the lid, coins, soda cans, just any can of can. Okay, lots of different cylinders out there. Okay, if you have questions, I'll get them tomorrow. I hope you have an amazing day. Be excellent to one another. Always be kind. And so now you guys can get started on your homework. So as soon as you're done with this video, I will be checking your notes tomorrow, by the way, to make sure you wrote in these notes. So if you didn't, no bueno. I might even make sure that you guys get points for it. Toodaloo, have an amazing day.